It's the year 1887. A philosopher sits alone, writing ideas most people would dismiss instantly. Ideas that sound exaggerated, unrealistic, almost paranoid. Friedrich Nietzsche isn't just questioning morality, he's questioning something deeper, whether reality itself is as objective as we think it is. He writes, "There are no facts, only interpretations." At the time, it sounded like philosophy, abstract, harmless, the kind of idea you argue about, then move on from, because no one had the power to actually test it. No one could take billions of people and subtly shape how they see the world, what they believe is important, what they believe is true, what they believe is real. So the idea stayed theoretical until it wasn't, because eventually someone built systems that don't just reflect reality, they filter it, rank it, and quietly rewrite it, not by telling you what to think, but by deciding what you see first, what you see most, what you never see at all. And if reality is just interpretation, then controlling the feed isn't influence, it's power. That's where Mark Zuckerberg comes in. Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent truth. He built a system that decides which version of it you see. Every post, every video, every headline, filtered, ranked, prioritized, not by truth, but by engagement. Because the algorithm doesn't ask, is this real? It asks, will you stay? And that single question changes everything. The more you watch something, the more real it becomes. The more you engage, the more it spreads. And slowly, your version of reality begins to narrow until you are no longer seeing the world. You are seeing a version of it designed specifically for you. This is where Nietzsche becomes uncomfortable, because he warned that reality is shaped by those with power. But Zuckerberg doesn't shape reality directly. He builds the system that shapes how billions of people shape it themselves. And that is a completely different level of control. But what does that actually look like in real life? What happens when a system is trained to maximize engagement and quietly reshapes what someone sees until it reshapes what they believe? A college dropout from West Virginia named Caleb Kane went through exactly that. Not because he went looking for extreme ideas, but because the system kept showing them to him. He was isolated, spending most of his time online, watching videos, scrolling, letting the next one play, looking for direction, for meaning, for something that explained why his life felt stuck. And that's where it begins, not with extremism, but with uncertainty. So one day, he clicks on something slightly different, a video about politics, about culture, not extreme, just enough to catch attention, and the algorithm responds. Because the algorithm you just heard about doesn't ask what's true, it asks what keeps him there. So it gives him another video, slightly sharper, more certain, more emotionally charged, then another and another, until the tone shifts from questions to answers. And Caleb keeps watching, not because he's convinced, but because it feels like he's getting closer to understanding. And slowly, the question stops being, is this real? And becomes, why are so many people saying this? Then, why haven't I heard this before? Then, what if it's true? And that's the shift. Not a sudden belief, but a gradual alignment. Because now, he's no longer just watching videos. He's watching the same idea from different voices, framed in different ways, all pointing to the same conclusion. And YouTube keeps tightening it, recommending creators who agree, filtering out ones who don't, until he's no longer seeing both sides. He's seeing one side, refined, reinforced, repeated. And it doesn't stop at videos. It leads him to forums, communities, comment sections filled with people who sound certain, who sound confident, who sound like they've figured something out. And for the first time, he feels like he belongs somewhere, like he understands something others don't, until doubt doesn't feel like skepticism anymore. It feels like ignorance. And the algorithm doesn't correct him. It adapts to him. It learns this is what keeps him watching. So it gives him more, stronger claims, bolder voices, tighter communities, until he's not just consuming the idea, he's defending it, sharing it, building his identity around it. This is how someone can start with curiosity and end with certainty. And that's the part people underestimate. The algorithm doesn't need you to believe something false. It just needs you to stay long enough for false to feel true. And once it feels true, that's when the system has already done its job. Because this was never about convincing you. It was about guiding you, step by step, video by video, until the conclusion feels like your own. And that's the mechanism. Not control through force, but control through exposure. Because if you see something once, it's information. If you see it 100 times, it's reality. So when we ask who controls reality, it's not a simple answer. It's a system made of 3 parts. The platform, built by Mark Zuckerberg and others. The algorithm, optimizing for what keeps you watching. And the crowd, billions of people reinforcing what spreads. And once you understand that, everything becomes clearer. Reality today is not something you're shown. It's something that is constructed around you, continuously, personally, invisible to you. And this is where Friedrich Nietzsche becomes real. He warned that truth would become unstable, that people would create their own versions of reality. As he he put it, there are no facts, only interpretations. And every interpretation is shaped by perspective, by what we choose to see and what we don't. But this is different, because now you're not fully creating your reality, you're co-creating it with a system designed to steer you. And the more you engage, the stronger that steering becomes, until eventually you're not just discovering truth, you're being delivered a version of it, optimized for you, refined for you, repeated to you. So no one is sitting in a room deciding what you believe. That's not how this works. What's happening is far more subtle and far more powerful. The system doesn't tell you what to think. It decides what you see enough times to feel like you thought of it yourself. And that's the shift, because the question is no longer what is true, it's what was I shown enough times to believe it is.